Welcome to another talk about, this one is on methods for maximizing weight loss. But the main focus is that to do so in a healthy way, a sustainable way, and we have our lovely Lindsay Wright here to share with us her extensive knowledge that she puts to practice in her own life. Come on up, Lindsay.
Thank you. I just want to thank Gabriella and the library for this opportunity, and thank you all for coming out on a cold winter night. I'm sure you could be doing other things. I appreciate you being here. All right, so at some point in everyone's life, either ourselves or someone we know will struggle with weight loss, weight issues, weight gain, wanting to lose weight. So tonight, I want to tell you some easy, sustainable ways that you can stop dieting, you can stop calorie counting, you can stop feeling deprived and restricted, and you will still get and maintain a healthy weight. Does that sound like a good use of your time today? I hope so. So I'm not a doctor. My advice is not meant to replace medical advice, and if you do have a weight or eating disorder of some kind, please get the help that you need. But what I want to talk about today are just some simple strategies to sustainably and effortlessly keep the weight off that I've learned over my many years, and I put into practice in my life, and I help others to do the same. So, should I push the right button? Okay, so we all know that obesity is a growing and devastating problem in our country. 2/3 of all people, that's 69%, are overweight or obese in our country today. That means 31% of people are of a healthy weight. And that doesn't always mean that they're healthy, if just because they have a lower body mass index. 8.4 million people in our country take insulin daily. 80% of all chronic diseases are caused, driven, and can be reversed by lifestyle choices and factors. These conditions of obesity contribute to the things you see here: pulmonary disease, liver disease, gallbladder disease, osteoarthritis, cataracts, stroke, cancer, heart disease, cancer of all kinds, heart disease, stroke again, must be very important, diabetes, pancreatitis, gout, and of course, death. The cost for obesity in our country is a staggering $190 billion a year. That is over half of the cost of disease management nationwide. So why is it increasing in our country? With all of the knowledge and availability of health foods and health programs, and somebody, of course, will have a pill or a potion or a program for you, but yet it's still on the rise. And I have 3 words: standard American diet, and lifestyle. Add a bonus there. So large meals of processed grains, fatty meats, refined oils, and sugary drinks. So it used to be, in olden days, only the kings could afford to eat the king's fare. We called it the king's fare. The peasants wouldn't be able to afford the rich foods, but the peasants were not the ones with the diseases. The kings would develop the diseases like gout, heart disease, and obesity. And so if you eat the king's fare, which we have available to us in abundance these days, 3 times a day we're eating the king's fare. And then we're developing the king's diseases too. So I want to show you today a way to maybe go back to the peasant's fare, but not boring and restrictive. And then we can lose the king's diseases as well. So imagine a life free of chronic pain, free of inflammation. You're not on any meds anymore. You can sleep well without your CPAP machine. You can run and play tag and chase your kids or grandkids around. You're not enslaved to food addictions. No more yo-yo dieting and scale depression. It's possible. It's more than possible. It might be easier and freer than you think. You can eat abundantly, without restriction, foods that you will enjoy that will also fuel and heal your body. So the number one thing in our 5 points of healthy, maximizing weight loss is to clean out. So we have to start somewhere. This is not about deprivation by any means, but you got to start at the ground floor. So we just want to clean things out a little bit. So this is it's very blurry and I apologize, but this is symbolic picture of the American system, internal system. This is a blood vessel. Realistically, we don't have hamburgers and pizza shoved in our blood vessels, but it's symbolic of what is getting stuck in there. This could very well be a colon, okay? Just saying. So we want to start with our internal environment, getting rid of all this stuck, wasted matter. And I can show you, I'll tell you some easy ways to do that. We also need to work on our external environment. So if you go home today and you open your cupboards and you see things with more than 4 ingredients, probably needs to go in the trash. I would say more than 3, maybe more than 2, but don't want to get crazy here. But so the things that we want to toss out. So we want to, and people will say, well, I don't want to waste it. I don't want to waste all this food. I just want to say, and this is what I tell my friends, my clients, my family, your body is not a human garbage disposal, nor is it a graveyard for dead food. It's just not. It's a wonderful vessel and a tool, and it needs hydration and nourishment. So you want to toss out stuff, you want to rehydrate your system, and you want to clean it. So what's wrong with processed foods? They're delicious. They're convenient. There's probably a lot of great things that we can all think of that we love, probably even in this picture. The problem with processed foods is there is no water in them, there is no fiber, and they are stripped of all their nutrients unless they're fortified with chemically enhanced nutrients. And speaking of chemically enhanced, they have a lot of chemicals in them that are developed just for addiction. So the processed food industry really took a big turn in the upswing direction in the mid-1900s when food scientists discovered what was called the bliss point. So this right mixture of salty foods, fatty foods, and sugary foods or chemicals created in just the right formula would create an endorphin response in your brain. They call it a neurocytotoxin. So it's a lot like cocaine. It had the same reaction. In fact, they did this with rats. They gave this substance to rats and cocaine. They'll choose this. So it's called a bliss point. It makes, they'll choose the food. So it creates this bliss point that makes you want more and more of it, and it keeps them rolling in the money. It keeps us sick and dependent and addicted. So then we have an epidemic of overfed, undernourished people because, as I said, these foods don't have the nourishment that your body needs. Okay, so what do we want to do instead? When we're clearing this out, we want to replace it with water-rich, nutrient-dense food. Doesn't that look so refreshing and delicious? And this might be what your refrigerator might get to look like. This is actually my refrigerator a few weeks ago. This is so delicious.
Oh my gosh, your refrigerator is beautiful.
It is, and it's just so enjoyable to open it up and use the things in it.
What do you use that many lemons for?
Juicing. Good question. Okay, but we'll talk about this more later. But we want to focus on water and nutrient-rich foods. Okay, the second thing in my 5 steps might surprise you. It's to sleep. When you're wanting to lose weight, working harder and working out longer can sometimes be counterproductive. So after we've cleaned out, we want to, so have you ever had a friend that says, I just can't get rid of these 5 extra pounds, I'm gonna go take a nap. It's not normally what we'd expect to hear. I would expect to hear, I'm gonna go work out harder at the gym, or I'm gonna run another 5 miles. But the problem with that is when we overwork our bodies, our cortisol goes up. And that's a hormone that increases our appetite, increases our cravings, and increases our weight. So it's always good to just relax a little bit. Go to bed early, take naps, just try to unwind a little bit, and it really helps your metabolism, surprisingly or not. So when we are in fight or flight, it's in the storing mechanism of your body. Fight and flight, and you're storing everything because it's kind of holding on for dear life. You move by resting and slowing down into the rest, digest, and release phase. So it's good to relax even if you're wanting to lose weight. Don't overwork yourself, basically. So you want to think, okay, if what I've been doing so far is not working, just hit the pause button and evaluate, is this working or not? And maybe I can try something different. And as you're pausing, maybe your hormones will start to slow, and then you might find that it's easier to go in a different direction, if that makes sense. Okay. There's some interesting studies about dieters. Dieters cut back on sleep for 14 days, this group of dieters. Same calories, everybody had the same calories. One group of them cut back on their sleep for 14 days. They got less sleep. Their ability to lose weight went down 55%. That doesn't mean they lost weight, that means they slowed their weight loss down by over half, just by not sleeping as much. So less sleep, again with the cortisol, raises your hormones that increase appetite, body mass index, and weight. So interesting, huh? Okay, so this is similar. We talked about sleeping in. This is a similar idea, slow down. So clean out, sleep in, slow down. You're like, I did not expect this probably in a weight loss talk, but there's a reason. Again, we're lowering our cortisol level and making our body more efficient. Taking a stroll in nature is a great way to do it, and not a power walk, which I would have tended to do, but I'm trying to appreciate the beauty and the ability to slow down and enjoy the moment. So important. Relaxation, taking a bath, whatever makes you feel, in the moment, present. A PubMed article was about a study with long work hours versus body mass index. They studied 61,000 participants. None of them were overweight or obese. 22% were overweight and obese in a follow-up appointment with these people when they increased their standard work hours to overtime, basically. So long work hours led to an increase in shifting from a normal weight to an overweight status. So again, we don't want to overwork our systems. We don't want to push it too hard. Take time to enjoy life because it's going to pass. It's going to go by pretty soon, pretty faster than we think, and it's going to be good to enjoy it. Okay, so we got to the fourth part. So we're at clean out, sleep, and calm down, relax, and then fuel up. Okay, so here's the epic battle between good and evil here, right? Dead, dehydrated, and nutrient and water-rich foods, hydrating foods. Okay, we talked about the king's fare versus the peasant fare. Peasant's fare does not have to be boring and bland, and I can show you some real easy ways to make that not happen. So why, when we've just eaten, do we still get signaled, I want something else. I want something sweet. I want something salty. Why is that? Have you ever thought, I just ate a huge meal and now all of a sudden 15, 20 minutes later, I want a cookie or I want ice cream or whatever it might be. Well, I have an explanation for that. So when we put food down and imagine I'm the stomach and I receive the food and I say, okay, it's all processed, ultra-processed foods. There's nothing I can use in this. In fact, there's a lot of damaging chemicals in here. I'm just going to store it away so that it doesn't do any harm. And then I'm going to signal the brain to give me something else because I need vitamin C because I can't make it myself. I need vitamin D from the sun and from fortified foods. I need vitamin K and magnesium and iron and zinc. All these other nutrients we need on a daily basis. If we get them, and it's very easy to get them in this section of the grocery store, But we can't get them from this section. So when we, standard American diet eats mostly this section a lot of the time. So our bodies are signaling to you to eat more. So we actually end up in a whole culture of overfed, undernourished people. And that's why we keep wanting to eat more, even though we've exceeded our caloric intake, necessary intake for by far. I hope that makes some sense to you guys. Okay, so I'm just gonna pose an experiment. If you wanted to do a 30-day experiment, eat abundantly, without restriction, the foods that I will mention to you today and suggest to you today, and see if your cravings and your weight don't go down. And I pretty much guarantee it, money back guarantee, that it will happen. You don't need more willpower. It's not a lack of willpower. It's not your emotions. It's not really effective advertising. It's just simply, most of the time, we are undernourished and we are under-energized. We get our energy from the right kinds of foods. So what I'm going to say next, you might love or hate, depending on your bent in the nutritional direction, but I'm just going to show you what I have seen to work and what I have studied a lot. And this is called the theory of calorie density. So here is a picture of a stomach, a human stomach, right? All of the food levels in these stomachs are 200 calories worth. So in our stomachs, right about here, two-thirds of the way up, I believe, we have receptors that signal to your brain, okay, we're reaching capacity, go ahead and slow it down a little bit. So what happens is if we have very calorically dense foods that don't have a lot of fiber and volume, they're just sitting in the lower part, we don't get a signal to slow down. So we end up just continuing to eat, and then we just fill up on empty calories. And then our body will still signal we need more. Okay, so the theory of calorie density is that you want to eat abundantly foods with the highest volume and the lowest calorically dense foods. So, for example, vegetables, let's start right here. Vegetables have 50 to 100 calories per pound. Have you ever eaten a pound of broccoli? It's a lot. It's not the most enjoyable thing, but it is very low in calorie and very, very filling.
It is.
Yeah. Fruits are next, 200 to 300 calories per pound. Most of them are 2, but bananas and dates, because they're in the fruit category, we say 200 to 300 calories per pound. And pound's a lot. It's like several large apples or a whole thing of bananas. It's quite a bit of food. Okay. So potatoes and whole grains, 400 to 600 calories per pound. Avocado is 750 calories per pound. Refined, ultra-processed foods, ice cream, bread, cheese, etc., 1,200 to 800 calories per pound. So you can see as we go away from the whole food and we go to more of the processed, the calories go up, the nutrients go down, right? Okay, so as we can see right here, oil is hardly anything at all for 200, or actually it says 500 calories, 500 calories. Cheese, a little better. It's got a little bit more bulk. Oil's just, really thin and doesn't have much to it. Meat, a little bit higher. Here's the grains, potatoes, starches. This has a lot of fiber, so it'll take up more space. And then, the fruits and vegetables are the winner for the most volume, the most nutrients, and the lowest calorically dense. And then here's another chart. Okay, so we talked about vegetables. So if you stay in this box, and I will show you, this is not limiting at all, but if you want to stay in this box, you can eat abundantly without even thinking about how much you should eat. You will never have to consider calories except to get enough. And I have to say, you will have to eat a lot of food. When I started doing this, I was like, I can only have one potato. It's too much if I have more, I can't overeat. You have to actually eat a huge volume of food because it's so low in calories. Okay, and then we get up to, again with the oil is the most calorically dense food on the planet, 4,000 calories per pound of oil. And so we talked about, oh, here's an example. Okay, so here's an Oreo. Oh, 3 Oreos. Okay, if you're really hungry, I mean, everybody likes Oreos, except me, I don't like them getting stuck in my teeth, but my kids really love them. And if you're really hungry, somebody could eat 3 Oreos, but you wouldn't be full. But for the same amount of calories, this 200 calories of Oreos, you can have a huge plate of carrots, a huge plate of strawberries, and 2 huge plates of popcorn. And you would feel so much more satisfied.
Is that microwave popcorn or the popcorn you cook on the stove?
That's a good question. I'm assuming it's butter-free or, lower in the oil.
I would take popcorn that I made on the stove to work.
Yeah.
And all of these young people were like, oh, this is delicious. They'd never had anything but microwave.
Right.
So it just tastes different.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So here's another example. So there's rice, which is perfectly fine. But if you want more volume, which is just an example of more volume for the same amount of calories, this is rice cauliflower. And then pasta noodles versus zucchini. So you just get a spiralized zucchini. It's delicious. With some sauce on it, you wouldn't even miss the pasta. So it's just some examples of calorie density. Okay, let's talk about oils really quick. Again, let's see. Lost my notes here. Okay. So oils are, like I said, the highest calorie food that we have. And there's no fiber in it. There's no protein. There's no energy and carbohydrates. There's no vitamins and nutrients except maybe like E and very little reason to eat oil. There's so many other things you can do instead. So if you're baking, I use flaxseed, banana or applesauce. And if you're sauteing, just use water or broth. Works really well. Okay, here we go. Gold star goes to the non-starchy vegetables. Now, these are the best things for our bodies. Absolutely the best. The highest in nutrients, minerals, all the things that we need. But they're very low in calories, so you can't just have your diet be only vegetables. You would not get enough. There are 20,000 varieties of edible plants. 90% of us only eat 20 in our whole life. 20 different varieties. We stick to broccoli and carrots and lettuce, iceberg lettuce or something like that. But there's so much variety of things you could try. These are also our builders, so they have all the nutrients we need to build our bones, build our blood, etc., build our brains. They're really good for building your immunity and fighting every kind of cancer. Okay, next is fruit. So we need fruit because the vegetables are too low in calories. Fruit's going to really help that. And they're very watery, so they will help hydrate your system, and they're full of vitamins. So there's 2,000 different kinds of fruit. The Western diet only eats about 10%. There are 7,500 varieties of apples alone. So it's pretty diverse selection of fruits. Okay, so here's more. I know we've all heard, we have to limit our fruit, limit our sugar, fruit's bad for us, but I just want to show you and prove to you that that is actually not the case. In fact, so many studies have shown that the people that consume more fruit need to diet less, have less weight and less diabetes, and of almost every other chronic disease. So here's some really quick reasons. Cherries calm your nervous system. Peaches, high in iron. Watermelon helps your heart rate. Strawberries fight against cancer. Pineapples help arthritis. Oranges, skin and vision. Grapes relax the blood vessels. Mangoes protects against cancer. Lots of great reasons to eat fruit. And doesn't it look so delicious? Okay, we're moving on real quick to carbohydrates. There are 18 types of whole grains, and there are over 5,000 varieties of potatoes. That's a lot. Potatoes are pretty miraculous. You can survive just fine if you eat only potatoes. People have done it for years. Nothing but potatoes. It's kind of hard to get enough calories, but it can be done. Okay. So if you're not sure about this, again with the fruit, a lot of people say, oh, no carbs. I'm cutting the carbs out. I have diabetes or I have something. cutting out the carbs. I would recommend that you check out Dr. Kempler. He has a book and he did a study called the Rice Diet. He took, let's see, get my numbers right. He took 106 patients that were morbidly obese, all of them morbidly obese with diabetes. He gave them 3 foods: white sugar, white rice, and fruit juice. And I don't mean like cold pressed fruit, like twist the top, grape Welch's fruit juice, for 3 months. And they only ate, so they ate 2,400 calories a day of sugar, white rice, fruit juice. 25 grams of protein was all they had. So a lot of the advice out there is raise your protein if you're diabetic and lower your carbs. Well, these people achieved an average of 141 pounds of weight loss. And 90% on a 90% carbohydrate diet over 3 months period. And 30% of them completely reversed their conditions. So it might not be the carbohydrates. I'm just saying, you can do your own research. Okay, so we talked about vegetables, fruits, and grains, right? And that sounds boring, but there's actually 27,000 kinds of varieties in just that 3 food groups alone. So I'm not good at math. I was going to try to do the equation for you. This is what it looks like of how many combinations you can make with 27,000 different kinds of fruits, vegetables, and grains. I have no idea what that means. But basically, if you do 1 + 2 + 3 and so on, you'll get a really gigantic, huge number. So you don't have to feel deprived or limited on this lifestyle. You can choose any number of things and make great combinations. But I would recommend keeping things simple because that's the way that it's easily maintained. We only really need about 10 to 20 of our favorite meal ideas, recipes, and just put them on repeat. And then as the seasons change, add the seasonal fruits and vegetables in. And it's simple, it's sustainable, and it's satisfying. So here's an example of a simple meal. Oats and fruit for breakfast, a large salad for lunch, and then some steamed vegetables and baked potato for dinner. So it can be very enjoyable, especially if you're used to restricting because you're worried about, getting lower calories. You do not have to restrict when you're eating whole foods. If you want to take it a step further, which is how I got started on this plan. I had a lot of health problems, and I went back to the Bible. In Genesis, back to the very beginning, Genesis 1:29, when God created Adam and Eve, he said, I'm going to put you in the garden, and this is what I want you to eat. And this was the original prescription for mankind. And it had answered all of my problems. So, I still am a work in progress, but it is answering all my health problems. So he says, every fruit tree bearing its seed, and every green herb I will give to you for food. So if you want to take it to the next level, it's fruit, greens, and nuts and seeds. I wouldn't recommend this to start off with, but it's an option. You can live very healthily. And if you Google any condition, you will see that people reversed it it's called a raw food, plant-based lifestyle. It's difficult. I'm not gonna lie, but it's totally doable and it's enjoyable.
If we're going into the Bible, I'm just gonna pipe in.
Yes.
David and
Daniel.
Check on the
Yeah.
pulse.
Yes.
The pulse
Grains.
diet, grains and
Legumes. Yeah, the Daniel fast.
I looked it up because I was curious, and it's like, what is this? Well, this looks pretty healthy.
Absolutely. And that's a lot of what we're talking about, the grains and the fruit and vegetables. That's what they asked, just feed me vegetables. And they turned out to look healthier than the people eating the King's Fare, right, that we were talking about. So we can survive as omnivores, and God gave us permission to do that. But thriving might be the original way that he set up humans to live. Okay, so it's really, this diet is a high carbohydrate as opposed to everything that is out there right now. High carbohydrate, lower fat, raw foods. So this diet specifically, or what we're talking about today, doesn't have to just be the next level one, but it has been known to treat and to actually cure all kinds of things, from eczema to allergies, kidney stones, arthritis, cancers of all kinds, migraines, etc., diabetes. Yeah. So, okay. So again, we don't need more willpower. If there was some toddlers in the way here and the building was on fire, we wouldn't need willpower to get up and scoop them up and take them out. We would have a why. And I just think, sometimes we need to know our why. We don't need more will, we just need more why. If you have a good why, doesn't matter how effective the advertising is, doesn't matter what your emotions might be, doesn't matter if somebody offers you whatever it is that's bad for you, you'll be able to resist it because you'll know why you're doing what you're doing. This could be a why. These are your meds right here. This is the only meds you might need someday. It'll help your mood, help your energy level, your digestion, your sleep by eating whole foods in their natural state as much as possible. So the fifth and last thing, and I promise we'll go fast on this one, is to build up. And don't worry, we're not going to go there because we don't have to. That's the beauty of it.
He looks like he's on something.
He does. Yeah. Well, it's a little scary and intimidating. But I just use that as an example of, movement is good, but you don't have to go crazy with it. And I'll show you why you can't exercise away a poor diet. Movement is key, and it's good for every healthy system, right? But you don't have to go nuts. Again, we don't want to raise our cortisol levels. We want to have it nice and peaceful, but we do want to work our bodies, but it won't work alone without the diet piece. For example, if you drink one soda, 250 calories, 7 teaspoons of sugar, you have to you have to do a 5-mile walk. That's roughly 2 hours for one soda. Or you can run for 50 minutes at a good pace, which I don't think I can do. Or you can do an hour and a half of vigorous sweeping for one soda. Who has time for that? So, for example, one M&M, not the package, the one M&M, you have to walk an entire football field to burn that one M&M off. 2 football fields if it's a peanut M&M. So you see how I'll just go to the gym tomorrow and work it off. Actually don't. If you just consumed a large, like Thanksgiving style, all full stop, taking all the stops out, maybe 2,000 to 3,000 calories, that'd be easy to do. You go to the gym for an hour and you might burn 200 calories, maybe 150. So you can see it does not balance. For example, another example is a candy bar. 30 minutes of intense bike ride. McDonald's French fries, 53 minutes of intense weightlifting. And a burger, 6 miles, or 105 football fields, if you prefer. So exercise is important for so many things. It helps increase our mood and circulation and lymph, and helps cleanse our system, and it helps reduce our stress and so many other things. But it is not going to be enough to override a poor diet. So again, diet is the thing we want to focus on. I've heard of people losing more than 100 pounds and they don't exercise. They might take a calm stroll outside in nature, which I definitely recommend when it's not really cold out. I have a hard time when it's this cold out, but okay. So 5B, so we're trying to stay in the 5, but I just wanted to give you some examples of how to stock up. We've emptied it out, right? In our minds, we're clearing out at home all the many ingredients we can't even pronounce. So all these foods right here, and I put A, B, C, G's because you can't not go with greens, but A's, avocados, B's, bananas, C's, cucumbers, really easy, simple, you can find anywhere. It's usually, bananas are always cheap, so it doesn't have to be an expensive lifestyle. Can be.
How would you eat the chia seeds?
Chia seeds?
Yeah,
Well, you can put them in water and rehydrate. You can put them in smoothies. You can grind them and put them in, your oatmeal or whatever you'd like to do. Chia seeds are really good for your heart, for your, all kinds of things. So blood sugars. Okay, so imagine what would appeal to you if you were out in nature and you were hungry. Probably would be a fruit tree or something that you could see that's growing. So anyway, just kind of something to think about. What would you want if you were hungry out in nature? So that, I want to do a quick wrap up. Okay. Eating abundantly, remember there's no limits here. You have to eat a pretty good quantity of things. According to the calorie density chart we talked about before, relaxing, enjoying your life, quality of life over perfectionism, overexertion and stress, and educate, experiment, and get support. So those are the things. Don't believe what the mainstream says or what somebody, you got a pamphlet about something. Don't believe it. Just think, is this working for me? Did it work in the past? Maybe I could try something different. And it's not popular to go back to the old tried and true ways. Everyone wants something new and shiny, but go to the science and see what works. Everyone can lose weight on any restrictive diet, but it won't last. Because our bodies need carbohydrates and they need fuel. And you can restrict and restrict and restrict, and eventually your body's like, I'm done with that. Give me some Oreos. So if you stock up on carbohydrates, that is the fuel source that your body loves. You will not have the cravings for the junk food and the sugar that you have had in the past, maybe. Okay, so if you would like more help with this, we offer information about adopting a healthy lifestyle, custom-made meal plans, nutritional coaching. We do juice cleanses, which is a great way to, number one, we talked about clear out. Doing juice fasting or juice cleansing is very beneficial for rehydrating and moving the toxins out. And so that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope it was interesting that you learned something new and maybe just one takeaway to experiment with yourself for the next few days or 30 days or a lifetime. Or maybe there's something that you might be more interested in researching later. So there's handouts there's handouts over there, but I wanted to show you, I almost forgot all this work that I did today. I wanted to show you an example, real live example of calorie density. So everything on here is about 100 calories. So if you're,
This little section?
well, everything in here, every item. So if you're really hungry and you just got done from work all day, Starbucks, and you're super hungry, would you rather have the tablespoon of peanut butter or this huge apple? Like, what would you go for? I love peanut butter, don't get me wrong, but if I'm really hungry and that's all you could have, or this?
Oh, right.
Yeah. So which one will fill you up more, basically, is the idea, right?
And I made the huge mistake of doing the no carb thing.
It's not sustainable. Our body we are carbohydrate.
It didn't even slightly, I was like, and I'm paying all this extra money for this, keto bread and keto this.
Yeah.
And,
I'm sorry.
yeah, my
It's
bad.
tough. I tried it too. I did. And I was just like exhausted. We need energy. We just need it in the right way. Okay, so this is corn nuts or a banana. So 2 oranges or a little piece and a half of a chocolate Dove bar or 2 oranges. This is a whole cup of oats or a mini donut and a half, not even a big one. Huge thing of salad, which probably should be this whole thing because salad is very low in, or lettuce is very low in calories, or a piece of cheese. So this is just a visual idea of what calorie density looks like. You can choose the dense foods, but you will not be full. You will not feel satisfied. And you will be craving the sweet fruits because that's what we're made to eat. So, does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, if you have any questions or if you want more information, please let me know. And I did make cold pressed juice for everyone to try. This recipe is
You're awesome.
cucumbers and apple and romaine and orange, and it's delicious. It might sound weird, but if you'd like to try it, I pressed it myself.
Be happy to give it a try.
Okay.
Me too.
So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.